we wanted to come and bring you guys some awesome information that we got from the Sonya Dudley mindset training this past Saturday. I'm Sunny Rogers, Emerald Ambassador. Hopefully you guys know me. I'm one of the leaders of the team. I'll let everyone else kind of introduce themselves. Let us know who you are, what your rank is, and then we'll get started with our recap. Alex.
I'm Alex Kell. I am a Gold Ambassador. I live in Searcy, Arkansas, and I really enjoyed the Sonya Dudley event. It was kind of life-changing, not to be cheesy, but it absolutely was. So excited to talk about it.
My turn. Hi, I'm Cindy Lambert. I'm Senior Gold Ambassador. I live in Rogers, Arkansas, and I really loved the training. I thought it was life-changing too. Actually, that's what I told my husband when I came home. I was like, it wasn't just a training, like a normal thing you go to. Like, it was life-changing I think it'll help us personally to reach our goals with all the affirmations. Probably change us as people, but it was also amazing. There were so many diamonds in the room. Jen Hawkins was there. I mean, diamonds from all over, not just the Arkansas ones, and I thought that was pretty cool. But the training that we got was some of the best I feel I've ever had, so it was great.
Liz?
Liz Rogers. I'm Gold Ambassador. I live in Mammoth Spring, Arkansas. Absolutely loved the training with Sonya Dudley. I got a lot out of it as far as being able to see inside me. Talked about the mirror and finding value in yourself. It was very eye-opening. Positive, got to be positive for one thing. Turn those negatives into positive.
Casey?
Hi, I'm Casey Leslie. I live in Rogers, Arkansas, and I'm a Silver Ambassador. I also got a lot out of the mindset training on Saturday with Sonya Dudley. I think what I got out of it the most is just putting value into yourself, because you're not going to be able to, put value into others if you can't put value into yourself. So that was a huge thing for me Saturday. Also, it was great coaching and how to lead our teams and how to grow our teams and pour into our downline. So.
All right, Marietta Mama.
Hey, I'm Alex's mama, Marita Edwards. I'm having a really hard time hearing, so if you see my ear leaning and not anything but my ear, that's why, because I'm on my iPhone. I loved the fellowship. Since it was my first Plexus meeting, I loved the energy that was there. I thought it was very easy to be there, and it was also very common sense. It wasn't a lot of fluff. People were just really relating well with each other and encouraging each other. So it was a really cool first event for me to go to. And I absolutely loved the coaching questions. You can use that in so many ways, and it made you believe that I don't have to know everything, since I do feel like I don't know very much. So, and I guess I didn't say I'm an ambassador and I have 2 people sponsored under me.
So I loved that Melanie is currently driving, so she's not talking right now, but hopefully she'll be able to get on in a minute. But Melanie was with us also. But I love the fact that there were so many ambassadors there, from double diamonds, diamond rubies, all the way down to ambassadors. And I think we all were able to take away something really amazing from the event. I'm just going to kind of run down the list of what notes I took, and you guys hop in when you're like, yes, love that part. Here's what I took from it, and we'll just go down the line. She talked quite a bit about being very aware of your self-talk. So much of our business has to do with how we talk to ourselves throughout our entire day, throughout how we talk to ourselves, just about our whole business in general. She talked about leaving garbage behind, like that garbage that you've carried with you your whole life. leave that behind, because when we were kids, we believed that we could do anything that we wanted to do, and we usually did lots of things because we didn't have that garbage, someone telling us that we couldn't do something. So leaving the garbage behind. And she said, you can't see the picture when you were inside the frame. I thought that was really powerful. I don't know about you guys, but like, you can be going through so much and it be so terrible. But like once you get out of it, you're able to see the whole thing so much bigger. And I loved that she said she learned some of her hardest lessons in the darkest times of her life. And I think that's totally true in our businesses when we're working also. We learn so much from the hard times. But it's always easy. It's not quite as, like, if we could get to diamond tomorrow, it wouldn't mean anything to us. We have to go through that in order to really find its meaning and its worth. She talked about external versus internal motivation. Do you guys want to give her example? Someone want to give the example of her external example she gave? No, that was hilarious. Anyone have it written down?
I remember the external being like dangling carrot, like, promos. I'm going to give you $20 for new people. I don't remember anything other than that, though. If she said something funnier.
She did. So she said it's not like, well, you've got conventions and things like that are really externally motivating. Like you've got the bright lights and the environment. And she said, some people are like, I just need a new planner. When I can get my office all put together, then my business is going to go great. That is like a great example of external motivation. Sure, that office might help a little bit. Organization is important. Having a space is important. Having a new planner is also important, but that is not what is going to motivate you to really work your business. So if you're telling yourself that, you're lying to yourself and you're just like waiting for the next burst of energy, and you're way more likely to quit if you don't have internal motivation, which is what I feel like we spent most of the day talking about, is like what's going on in your head. It's a permanent change. It's a change within you. It's being able to see yourself as a leader. She's talked about the 15 invaluable laws of growth and the law of the mirror. Seeing yourself as a leader and finding your internal motivation to work through whatever's going on in your life. Let's see, what else do I have? She talked about, man, that internal stuff is the garbage that you've hung on to, the stuff that you've been through, and really healing yourself and learning to forgive people that you've been, like, that life has happened to you, like who was brought into your life, who said that one thing. She gave an example of an elementary school girl, or a girl who was in elementary school who was doing a spelling bee, and her teacher humiliated her in front of the entire class. And from that point on, she had this huge fear of speaking in front of people, like could not speak in front of 5 or more people. It freaked her out. But when she really got, like Sonya Dudley was saying, she went through a coaching call with her, and she really broke down the walls of what it was. Like, she had her teacher's voice in her head. And so when she realized that that's what was ruling her life, she was able to take hold of it and move forward from it. So, let's see. Did you guys have any other notes about that?
I think she had a good point when she said it's hard for you to put more value into other people if you don't value yourself. And it's also very true that the amount of value that you do give yourself is what your peers or your coworkers or whoever, your boss, whatever amount of value you put on yourself, that's exactly what your people around you will give you back. So if you hold on to those old nasties and don't value yourself the way you should, the way God says you're amazing and I love you and keep going, then other people are not going to have that same level of value for you.
Right.
And I like the way she talked about valuing your time. It was funny. Like she would mention, well, I'd love to get with you this week, but I've got a lot going on, and my time is I'm just so packed that I'd love to get with you next week. Kind of, trying not to be that plexus person that's constantly available and there and pestering. She was letting the other person, the contact, know that she valued her own personal time, and at the same time, she valued their time. How about let's set an appointment? How about let's talk next week?
Right.
And it was all about value.
Yeah. How she said how you view yourself determines your behavior with others. And so, like, people can sense insecurity. They can sense desperation from you. So how you're viewing yourself when you present yourself to people is huge. And I think wholly impacts whether people decide to jump with you. Like, why is it that you've been doing this for 6 months, but someone jumps in with their best friend? Well, maybe it's because the best friend has this energy and this excitement, and they value themselves and are really portraying that to you or to the person they're trying to sign up. She said, go ahead, Mom.
She actually said, you have to go inside yourself before you'll move forward. So if you feel stuck, then perhaps that's what you need to do, to look inside and see why. Peel back the onion, she said. Look at those inner voices that you're hearing. Not be standing in your way.
Yeah. So could you guys identify inner voices that you had going on, like by her talking, that you didn't realize that you had?
Oh, absolutely. Debbie Darby, when she coached me, literally tears came to my eyes. Like, she peeled back a layer that, like, okay, that could be it. Yeah, absolutely. For me.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I thought it was pretty interesting when she said to really guard your self-talk. Really guard your self-talk and counter and replace it with positive. And then she said to stop comparing yourself to anyone and not to work on our weaknesses, develop our strengths and quit comparing our weaknesses to other people's strengths.
Yes, that was an excellent point. That really stands out in my mind too.
Yeah.
We kind of all grew up with that little bit of comparison thing, and then when you hit adulthood, you might have a little bit, but you don't realize how much it's still with you.
Yeah.
And then to say, hey, I need to just look to my strengths and grow those. And we are comparing our weaknesses to other people's strengths. It's totally like apples to oranges. It's a great point.
I think it's really easy to do that too, because when you have a team and you have people who are reds and blues and yellows, and somebody might be way super more organized than you, or more outgoing, or more whatever. Somebody's always, what you feel like is more. So I thought that was really interesting or good to just focus on your own strengths, because you have different strengths. And I think it's really nice when you put all your strengths together and work together, like you and Kim did. Sunny.
Yeah. So I love that too. She said, because you do not work on your weaknesses, you work on your strengths. If you're always focusing on those weaknesses, that's where you're going to be stuck. But if you work toward those strengths, the only time you really work on your weaknesses, unless it's hindering your ability to empower others, then you need to take a look at those weaknesses. But you should mostly be focusing on your strengths, because that's where you're going to be able to add most value to others. Is what you're naturally good at. You should really capitalize on that. And I loved that she said, add value to others. And in times when you're down in your business or when things don't feel good, get into action. Go add value to other people's lives and other people's businesses. In your team, add value to the people that you're trying to talk to about Plexus, even if it's not about Plexus. If Plexus is not adding value to their life right now, maybe find something else to add value to them. That way they know to come to you. That it becomes a good relationship that you have with them. And they're more likely to reach out to you. Casey, did you have something?
I think just going back on the, building other people up and all that. And just, what stuck out to me is I'm really hard on myself. I always want to be the best, and I've always had that kind of mentality since I'm, a child and playing sports. And if I do something, I want to be really good at it. But I think we have to remember that, records are made to be broken. And so there's always going to be someone out there that's better than us, or that has a different strength than us. So just not comparing, ourselves to others, and just realizing that that's their strengths and that you have different strengths that are just as valuable as other people. That was something really that hit home with me. Working on our weaknesses that are hindering, and not focusing on those other weaknesses that really don't matter, like being a clutter bug, as Sonya is. That's something that's not going to hold her business back very much. So don't worry about that. We need to be focusing on other things that will, add value to others and build our business.
I'm totally related to that. Go ahead, Alex.
Casey, are you a red?
I'm mostly yellow, but I have red is real close in the back.
No, I am mostly red with yellow. And so out of all of the thousands of sticky notes that I took from Saturday, what stuck out the most is what we're talking about, that you only work on your weaknesses if they hinder you. And that's totally my red coming out. Like I am realizing I'm almost obsessed with like personal development and like trying to be the best I can. And that I didn't realize how much that was affecting my entire life, especially with Plexus, like just everything. And that does a lot to your confidence when you're always focusing on your weaknesses. So like something else I wrote down that she said was, are you staying in your strength zone? No, I was not. I was literally focusing only on my weaknesses. So like to focus mostly on my red and what's beautiful about red is going to like change a lot. So
absolutely.
Staying in the strength zone instead of the weakness zone.
That's so good. All of these steps that we've been talking about are her steps to build your self-esteem. So guard your self-talk, stop comparing yourself to anyone, add value to others, move beyond your own self-limiting beliefs, do the right thing, even if it's a hard thing to do, practice a small discipline daily. She gave the example of just today. I'm going to be great at working out just today. Like I'm going to focus on just today, doing what I need to do, instead of looking at, I've got to work out 4 days a week for the rest of my life. Like instead of looking at it like that, you're doing the small thing just for today that's going to move you forward. Another one was celebrate the small victories. Be your best cheerleader. And I think that we can be our best cheerleaders for our downlines, for our friends, for our customers who are finally drinking all their water. We can be cheerleaders for them, right? We can, I'm so proud of you for losing that 1 pound, cheerlead them. Love that. And then I have embrace a positive image for your life and take responsibility for your life. Decide to not be a victim to what is going on around you. That is huge, because you know how easily we could be a victim to back office issues, to shipping issues, to someone quitting our team when we're trying so hard to keep them to stay. You know how easily we could become a victim of this and let it tear us down? It's not worth it. It's absolutely not worth our businesses to let that hold us back. I loved that. Do not let yourself become a victim. I think that's just so powerful. I don't know about you guys.
Definitely.
I kind of liked also when you were going down the steps, when you said add value to other people, and she gave us some good examples of that I think will really help if we put those into practice. And she said, just a voice message, some encouragement, daily, find a couple of people and just add value to them. And she said, she has messaged somebody, you know, like even if you just send a voice message that says, hey, I love your post, or, you know, I saw you added a couple of people, or, you know, I think you're just doing great, or you're looking great, whatever, any words of encouragement, you know, whatever applies. And she said a lot of times people would tell her, you know, that made a huge impact in their life, made a huge difference. And it was a 10-second message that she sent to them, you know. So if we can pick a few people a day or a week or whatever to add value to with some encouragement and positive words and support, I thought that was a really good suggestion.
And I'm going to speak truth to that because Jessica Heffley has done that to me before. She's messaged me and was just like, I love your posting style. I'm so proud of you for being bold and kind and true and necessary. And like, that is the message I go to when I am wanting to like stop talking to everyone because people are crazy. So like, that is what keeps me going when I don't want to keep going, you know? Mm-hmm. It's huge.
That is huge. I think the next part she talked about rocked my world. She talked about fears. What are your fears? And some of the examples she gave were the fear of failure, the fear of success. I know that sounds bizarre, but the fear of success, security for the unknown, what others think, fear of offending friends, rejection, and one example she gave was the fear of what others think of you. And he said, what if someone offered you a piece of gum, like, and you didn't take the piece of gum because you didn't want a piece of gum? You're not like upset that she was so like rude to you and hates you now because, you know, like you didn't take the piece of gum. Like that would be ridiculous, right? But we do that when people don't want our plexus. We're like, you hate me. Like, that's so silly. It's just a piece of gum, you know? People are not looking at us like they hate us because they aren't taking our plexus, you know? So we should really turn that off if that's one of our fears. Like, don't let that get to you. One of the fear of success, I can speak to that one specifically. I was scared. I've always been in the middle class and very content and very happy there. I always had everything I needed. And the thought of being an emerald and having a 6-figure income was and still is sometimes scary to me. Fears are not something that we get over and we never face again. You will face those same fears over and over and over again. It's just acknowledging them that brings power to them, is that you know what they are and you know that there is worth in moving past that fear. So once I was able to get past the fear of success, you know, I was very comfortable where I was at. And going outside of that is vulnerable. It's doing something different. It's what will people think about me? You know, am I going to change? She used that example too. Are people going to look at me different because I'm a diamond? You know, you think about these things like, oh, well, you know, I guess I'll just stay the way I am because I don't want people to look at me differently. You know, like, unless you're conscious of that fear, it can really ruin your business. Did you guys latch on to any of those fears and relate to them?
Definitely the fear of people seeing me differently or treating me differently. Like, I have a few people on my dream team that I have messaged and then haven't messaged because I really respect them. And I'm really scared of like them treating me differently or interacting with me differently because of maybe their discomfort with this or my discomfort. But, you know, if I am self-aware and I can be, you know, see value in myself and be confident of how this has changed my life and reach out to them, if they say no, they just don't want my stick of gum and it's okay, you know. And, you know, pretty much everyone that I've felt that fear with, that I have talked to has not said no. So I know they're interested, but they're watching me. Mm-hmm. So, they didn't say no and they're interested. What if I wouldn't have said anything and someone else would have messaged them? And these are like my lifelong friends. So that was definitely a fear of mine.
She goes on to talk about fear as, she says, does fear serve you well? Like, does it actually, do you get good things by being afraid and not going out and doing what you need to do? Like, no. She says the opposite of fear is faith, and a lot of working this business is going out on faith and messaging someone with faith that things will go well. And she said, we have absolutely made fear a habit. It is something you have to actually break. And she said the fear of failure or the fear of not being enough, there's this fear formula that you have to use to help get past that. Did someone write down the fear formula who wants to read it to us? I have it if you guys don't.
I have it.
Okay.
First thing she said to do about them is identify your fears, write them down. And then she said to replace those with an affirmation. And I really love that she let us hear her affirmations from her app, because that just made it more practical and realistic. And when you do yours, you think they sound kind of corny, but hers did too, and they work. So, and then she said, just repeat the affirmation like daily. And she said if you would commit to a 30-day challenge or commit to yourself for 1 year to spend a certain amount of minutes daily doing those affirmations, that your life will really change.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Did you guys write down? Oh, yeah. So replace it with affirmation, self-talk, and then repeat it again and again and again and again and again. And so like listening to it over and over and over again, and reading them to yourself is powerful. Like hearing your own spoken word. What is the name of it?
Repeated Again app, and I actually did it before we got on here.
Did you?
I've done 2 of them, recorded 2 of them.
You want to play one of them?
Absolutely not.
Come on.
I'll play one. I'll play one.
Play one.
This is just something I had been reading from what I had written down.
I can't hear it. Okay, put it closer to the speaker.
I accept all people who want to work with me and businesses for my kids and love. Every day.
I can hear it. It's broken up. But Ace effort and proud of you.
I thought hers were really great. I mean, because there's things we would all say, like, I love to exercise. I hate chocolate. I love eating healthy foods, and all that stuff. I thought they were really funny, so I was glad she let us listen to them.
They're really funny, but those are some, like, powerhouse affirmations that she had. Not just like, I am loved by all. No. Like, these are, like, big ones. Like, people want to join my team. I find it so easy that, people are falling out of the sky and are so enthusiastic about joining my team. I am a good leader. It is so easy to add 3 people to my team every single month. Like, aren't those fears we all have? It's like, I can't add 3 people this month. Are you crazy? That is my self-talk. That is something that I have to replace. And so I think this Repeat It Again app is awesome. So there was one for Android.
There's Affirmation Remix.
Affirmation Remix. I wrote it down somewhere, but I can't find it now. But okay, so Affirmation Remix and Repeat It Again are both free apps on Android and iPhone. Let's see.
Very user friendly. Very.
I thought she said one more thing about that was really good. Whenever she was talking about affirmations, about people are falling out of the sky, and I thought that was really great that somebody from the audience got up and got very vulnerable in front of, that was, a red personality, and cried about her fears, and it was really a valid fear, that she can't control. Maybe somebody's not good, not consistent with their products, or, not taking them, maybe they don't have the results, and she was afraid they would think that she was a fraud, and maybe not truthful about Plexus. And so I loved what Sonya said about that, that's not in her control. And so she needs to give that to God. She needs to pray about that. Mm-hmm. And, when she was saying that affirmation about, people are falling out of the sky, everyone I meet wants to be a part of my Fun Plexus business, and saying her affirmations, she said, if you will couple those affirmations and call that to you and then pray about it, just stand back and see what happens. Get ready. I thought that was really powerful when she said that.
Yeah, for sure. And then also when she said her best business year she ever had in her other network marketing company was when she was listening to these type of affirmations every single day. Like she had them on repeat. And she would listen to them all the time on CD, on cassette. She actually said on cassette. She would put them on in her car when she was driving around, like always listening to it. She would go to bed listening to them. She had her best year ever with that other company. She said the other company didn't compare to Plexus, of course, but she had her best year yet in that company.
Yeah.
Something else that she had brought up during, that part of the day, she gave a little analogy about, if you needed new furniture and you decided, okay, I need new furniture. I'm going to go ahead and move this furniture out into the garage, but you leave it there. You don't replace it. And then you have company come over and you think, oh no, I never got that new furniture. So I'm going to move this old back in. I thought that was a really good analogy with, if you don't replace your negative thoughts with your positive, then you're just going to bring those negative thoughts back in and they're just, going to take root again. So you've got to commit to moving those negative thoughts out, but you also have to commit to replacing them with something positive. And another little thing she had said, if you plant corn, you're not going to get carrots. So if you keep, if you're going to get rid of those negative thoughts, you need to replace them with something positive. But I really like that. And you reap what you sow. So the more positive you put in, the more positive you're going to get out. So I really like that part of it.
Absolutely. She also gave 3 books. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself, Switch on Your Brain, and Self-Talk, Soul Talk, as being really great books to help you with your self-talk. And then she said, out with the old and in with the new, like Casey was saying, like really reprogramming. And she said, talking about programming is programming creates beliefs create attitudes create feelings determine our actions, and action creates results. Like it all starts back from programming our beliefs, and then it affects everything else down the line. Let's see. I don't know if what I have. Oh, okay. So she said, like, one of the things she said when she's like discussing things with people, hey, Melanie. You'll have to unmute yourself if you're talking. Hey.
Hi.
She said, I don't know if what I have can help you or not, but it's totally changed my life. Can I just give you my card and you reach out to me if you ever need some help with what it was we were talking about? Like, how simple was that? She just like kept throwing in these great lines instead of like, again, that's kind of that programming of, do you walk up to people with that self-talk of, hi, Plexus card, like if you're really awkward, people pick up on that. But if you're just really confident, like, I don't know if what I have is going to help you or not, but it has totally helped me with the blinding pain I get in my temples. And I would love for that to help you too. Would you mind taking my card? And then she gave the example of when you push, people pull away. But when you're pushing Plexus on them, people automatically pull back. But when you pull away, people push forward. So like you were mentioning before, I'm so busy. My schedule is just plumb full, but maybe I could find a couple minutes later to chat with you about Plexus. instead of being like, sure, I can talk anytime. Let's talk right now. Are you free right now? I'm glad to talk right now. You know, like that is overwhelming. People are like, you're not in demand, so it must not be something good. What was she gave another example. Do you guys remember what it was?
Do you remember when she said, I wrote it down. So,
like a baseball team or something?
Yeah, well, and okay, so like if you meet somebody and you're talking, you know, and they are, you know, because people tell you they have headaches or lupus or RA or whatever, or they work 3 jobs or they whatever. She said what she'll say is like, hey, I don't know if Plexus would be a fit for you, but I'm super busy. I'm super busy. I'm totally not going to bug you about this, but here's my card, you know, just if you want to check it out or something. I can't remember exactly how she said it, but it was really good. It was kind of like,
it was very, very like nonchalant. Mm-hmm. She's like, you know, I'm like way too busy to be bugging you about this. So don't worry about me like hounding you on messages, but here's my card. I would love for you to reach out to me. Is that what the one you're talking about?
Yeah, she was kind of like, I'm super busy. I do not have time to bug you. Here's my card. You know, this might help you. It may not. You know, if you want to go to my website and check it out, or here's my number. You know, you can message me when you have time and stuff. So she said when you say, I am super busy and absolutely don't have time to bug you, then that kind of puts people, that takes them out of the being defensive, you know, like, oh, she's going to try to sell me something. Right. I thought that was pretty good.
That out of desperation mode, the pushing and pulling. I love that analogy because we talk about, you know, not presenting yourself as desperate. Like you're the only person who's ever going to come to me about Plexus. I got to snag you now. You know, like sometimes it's okay to say, you know, just whenever you're ready. You know, sometimes that's okay.
Yeah. She also said, She also said that, you know, she will go through her customers that aren't really ordering anymore. And she'll just like call and follow up and say, hey, I'm trying to clean up my files. Close your file if you're not interested anymore. And she said people do not like to have their files closed. And so they're like, don't close my file. I'll decide when you can close my file. And so she said that's one of the ways you can kind of take it away from them, and they don't want you to take it away. Right. So that was another example of the push and pull there.
That was so good.
Yeah. And, you know, she said whenever you're talking to somebody about Plexus and they're like, you know, I just don't think I can drink the water. I can't afford it. Or, you know, giving you tons of excuses, take it away and say, you know, I think it's probably not the right time for you. But, hey, if you're ever, you know, interested or you think you can make this happen, just, you know, give me a call or whatever. Or just say, hey, I don't think the timing's right. And, you know, she's like, take it away. Don't be desperate. I mean, we have a really good thing to offer.
Absolutely.
She also said on the desperation thing, you know, if you're in it for the long haul, if you plan on being a Plexus for lifer, that the desperation shouldn't be there. And because people can see through that desperation. And I went through this, you know, I signed up at the end of April of this year, and that desperation was there because I thought, you know, if I can't get my products paid for really quickly, then I'm going to have to stop doing this. So I've now 4 months into it, I'm kind of out of that desperation mode. And now I look back and see like, oh, I probably pushed some people away because I'm sure they saw through my desperation, just trying to get them on board. But you know, it's not a race. It's a marathon, and so if you are in it for the long haul, then you don't need to be desperate. It's going to come. Put in the hard work, and it's going to come.
Absolutely.
Another good side note on that is that whatever you do, your downline will duplicate it. So if you give them that sense of urgency and desperation, and oh, come on, let's go, they're going to feel stressed. And that's the last thing you want them to feel. You want them to feel excited and joyful and let's just make this run. Let's go. And that's not a good way to duplicate your business, you know, the other way. So
yeah, that
desperation is contagious.
That's a good point. So it's not just about our customers, it's about our downlines too. Yeah, that's really good. I love how she said there's a knowing and a doing gap. Like we know what to do, It's just that the doing it, that's the hard part. And she says it has nothing to do with the ability. It's absolutely programming what you tell yourself. Like, I know I need to do this, reach out to this person, but I've got this programming that tells me about whatever, not to do this or fear of that really hinders me from the doing. There's that gap in between that we have to bridge by reprogramming our thoughts. And there was one example, maybe you guys can help me fill in the story, because I just wrote shoes at 80% off. So like she said, you had like this long day and you're so tired. Like, I can't do anything else. I can't wait to go home and just like sit on the couch and Netflix and chill and do nothing. And then your friend calls you and she's like, girl, Dillard's, your 6 pair of shoes you just tried on last week that you couldn't afford are now 80% off and you have only tonight to get them. He's like, you're suddenly not so tired anymore. And you're like out the door and you're getting those shoes and you're so excited. Like, that is programming. That is your actions and your beliefs taking hold and causing you some serious results because you were suddenly not tired and you did it. She's like, that is what programming does. So when you're like, oh, I don't want to message these people, it's all about your programming. So if you're having problems with that, look back at that and really look at your programming. Did I tell the story? Was that how she said it?
Yeah.
I like that. I always say mind the gap, because I've heard that before about minding the gap, because there's a huge gap between what you know you should do and what you do, or what you want to do and what you do, and the gap, that's like the most important part. Mm-hmm. And so I've used that I have grown kids now, but when they were teenagers and they would say, I want to go to this college, or I want to be this, I want to be, when I want to be this out of college and stuff, I would say, well, you better start minding the gap, because what happens between now and there is huge, so it's easy to say I want to be a veterinarian, but you got to mind the gap and make the grades and get into college. And, so whenever things got tough, I would just say, this is the gap. This is the gap between what you want and what you have. Mm-hmm. And so I always say, you better mind the gap whenever they're not doing it.
That's really good. So she moved into talking about belief and how belief is formed in 2 ways. She said it's a recurring process, like, well, why did you cook that turkey like that? Well, because Mama did it that way, and Grandma did it that way, and Great-Grandma did it that way. So that's our kind of belief is formed that way. Or belief can be formed from a traumatic event that may have happened in our lives, some of those negative beliefs that we have. She was kind of bringing to attention those things. She says we borrow beliefs throughout our entire lives. She's like, now it's time to return those back to great-grandma and create our own beliefs about ourselves, about our businesses, about our futures. And she had this, I don't know if any of you guys draw it out bigger than what I did? Mine's like really small. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's chicken scratch. But she's like, your comfort zone, and then you've got fear, and then you've got something I can't read. Some have fear of failure. But she said, riding a bike. Oh,
okay. I don't know. Can you guys see it? Like,
that's not the one. That's not the uphill one. I'm not to there yet. But like some have fear of failure, like riding a bike. When you first are riding a bike and you fall down, as a kid go, oh man, I failed. You're like, I just tried to ride a bike, and you get back on it and you do it again. It's just the process. It's not like, it's just the process of it. You shouldn't be afraid of it. She said, you can't learn without making mistakes. And she said, in the comfort zone, you become a victim, or you can be a victim of life. Self-doubt, blame, frustration, pain, guilt, and regret, which leads to fear, borrowed beliefs, false limits, garbage that you have in your head, and so-called mistakes. And then once you move past that is a happiness and a freedom to be able to live your life like you want to. So giving the garbage back and building new beliefs. This was a good one. Arthur Burt says, nothing happens until the pain of change outweighs the pain of remaining the same. I don't know about you guys, but that one kind of hit me in the gut. Like, we have to be sick of being comfortable. We have to be sick of where we're at before we'll actually take the change and realize that the pain and stuff we have to go through is much better than staying where we're at. Okay, so I'm going to try to like speed it up because I know we've been on here for quite a long time. But so she said, understand that most people around you do not want you to change. So if you're finding like resistance from people in your life, that's pretty normal. People don't want you to change. Some people don't even want to see you succeed because it makes them get in touch with their own stuff, their own failures or like attempts and then fails. It gets in touch with their vulnerabilities and it makes it really tough. Alex, you're nodding your head. Do you have something to say?
I'm reading the book Daring Greatly by Brene Brown, and she basically said the whole thing. But what she said is she just went a little bit deeper in saying, your vulnerability makes them aware of how they're not being vulnerable in their life. And that's when you put yourself out there to get criticized by the critics and cynics. But, you can't live a life that you're happy with at the end of your life.
Oh.
And I think I wrote down somewhere that she said, hurt people hurt people.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I froze for a second. I was moving, but you guys all froze. I was like, is anybody there? Okay.
I was just like talking about vulnerability and then no one responded. It was really great.
Are you in a shame storm right now, Alex?
I'm pulling myself out of it.
So good. Okay, so she brought up some power questions to ask yourself. Am I investing in myself? Am I looking at myself talk? Am I reading good books? Am I genuinely interested in others? Am I grounded as a leader? And then this was I think pretty powerful. Would they believe that I'm a lifer? Would my team, when they hear me talk about Plexus, do they believe that I'm in this for the long haul? Or are they picking up on my desperation, on my doubt in the company? That was huge. To like, as a leader, are we portraying ourselves as people who are in this for the long haul? Also, she said, adding value. Am I adding value to my team? Shout outs. Am I staying in my strength zone today? Not discouraged when trying to perfect my weaknesses. Am I staying in my strength zone? And she said, am I taking care of today? And she said, am I investing my time with the right people? This is important because it's not always the nice people. It's not always the people that are like, oh, sure, let's not do work today. Sometimes it's the people who keep you in line and tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And I think it also, the right people can be the people who aren't sucking your life dry from negativity. Sometimes you have to separate yourself from the negative talkers and, oh, this is never going to work for me. Again, filling you full of garbage and beliefs about things that aren't true. And then she also said, she didn't have it on a PowerPoint, but she said to look up John Maxwell's 10 ways to add value to people. I plan to do that because I love adding value to people. And she said when you're working on a team, you should always be playing catch with people. Don't keep throwing the ball into the field and no one's there to pick it up. She said you want to help people feel loved where they are, but if they're not playing catch with you, like you're helping them and then they're not doing anything, and then you're helping them again and they're still not doing anything, that's not playing catch with people. Like, you need to be working with each other. If she's helping you, then you're helping, or I don't know, you're seeing some fruit from what you're doing. Because if you're not, you're wasting your time as a leader. You guys have anything else from that? Or you want to, if not, we can move on to the downhill thinking and uphill habits Does someone want to talk about that? I took some notes, but I didn't like fully think about that one.
I wanted to add one thing to the power questions. The part that she said, am I adding value to my team? I had drawn out to the side, make eye contact and always act like you're interested. And also remember people's name. That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
It makes people feel so much better when you say like, okay, thanks for chatting, Casey, or whatever, and call people by their name because it makes them feel important. So I thought that was good.
That is really good. Anyone want to dig into the uphill or the downhill thinking, downhill habits, uphill thinking, and uphill habits?
I have several sticky notes about those, and I don't remember what order they went in. I forgot my notebook, so I sat there and scribbled on sticky notes all day. Okay, so one of the, I'll say the, they look like a U. Some of the downhill thinking is, it's negative. Something like, I'm not responsible for myself. Life should be easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then a downhill habit of that thinking is procrastination, apathy, just watching your life happen, not taking responsibility for it, and excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the bottom of the U and you start getting to uphill thinking, which is possibility thinking. Life is not easy, but I'm going to keep hitting the ball anyways, and I am responsible for my life. And then at the top of the hill, you get to uphill habits, which are the action of your positive thinking and possibility thinking, awareness, making your life happen for yourself, and no excuses and not quitting.
Mm-hmm. Then she said, anything worthwhile in life is an uphill battle. If you think about all the hard things that you've done, it has not been easy, and you've had to move past that downhill thinking and downhill habits up the hill for it to be worth something.
She also said that uphill hopes and downhill habits are impossible. They just don't go together. So you can't have, uphill hopes and not put in that effort because you'll never make it up the hill.
And I stepped out at part of this next part, so you guys chime in on anything that I missed that was like super big. But she talked about effective coaching model was TGROA, topic, goal, reality, options, and accountability. So when you're working with your team, you can coach them if you are a leader. Like, I don't recommend coaching a bunch of people all at the same time or getting on phone calls with a bunch of people because that's hard to keep up with, but doing 2 or 3 of your strong runners, people who are throwing the ball back and forth with you, doing coaching calls with them. And the topic is like a question might be, these aren't like specific questions she said, these are just examples. A topic is, where do you feel stuck right now? The goal would be, what do you want to achieve today? Reality being unpeeling the onion of the issues that are going on. And then options are brainstorming in a no judgment sort of way. What else might work? What else have you done? What might be more effective than what you're doing right now? But again, not telling people what to do, not giving examples but letting people come to that themselves. And then accountability, making an appointment for next week. What are you going to do between now and then that's going to help you reach that goal that you talked about? She said, be comfortable with silence. And, well, maybe I just wrote that down because that one's really hard for me to do. Did you guys have something to add to those?
I thought the be comfortable with silence was really well because I can admit that I'm guilty. Like, say, when Kim is coaching me and she asks me questions, I don't want there to be a big gap. And so instead of like really thinking deeply about where I am at, what do I feel is stopping me, and what I really want to achieve, I just might answer quickly to fill the gap and not have the silence and go, okay, I want to be Ruby, or I want to go to, or whatever, but now I think maybe if you're going to coach somebody, you might say, let's be comfortable with silence. Like, take time. Don't feel like you have to answer me right away. Like, I have time to listen to you. And so you have time to think about what your real goals are, and to answer the questions because I feel like, I thought that was really great that she said, be comfortable with silence, because I think a lot of us aren't comfortable with silence.
Right. And then she said, or maybe someone just in the crowd noticed when she was doing that coaching one-on-one with someone, she had to ask the question basically 3 times before people would really get to what was on their mind, or like what was really holding them back. Like, sometimes you just have to ask the question and then wait in the awkward silence until the real answer comes out.
I wrote something down about that. Did you guys, the third answer is the real one, is what she said?
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
She also, I wrote down these 3 points. I think it was kind of like a vow that we kind of said with her. We will no longer give advice or our opinion whenever we're coaching someone. We're going to kind of like take a step back and be in that coaching role. I will not say what you're doing is wrong or right. Instead, we'll say that may not be the most effective way, or, it's ineffective. And then she gave the example as someone, she was kind of pretending like she was coaching someone, and the person she was coaching said, well, or maybe they're doing some kind of role play, but she said, I really think you need Plexus because you could lose about 40 pounds. And so she didn't understand why people weren't buying from her. And so she was like, that may not be the most effective way that you could approach somebody. And so she kind of went at it like that. And whenever she was kind of doing the coaching scenario, she would not give her opinion unless she said, can I step out of my coaching role for a minute and approach you that way? And get permission first. So I thought that was kind of neat.
The permission, I think, is an important part. Like, if I knew something that I thought was holding you back in your business, would you want to know? And then if they say yes, you've gotten their permission to say something that might be tough. But if you just go in and be like, that was a really crappy way to handle things, that's probably not going to go over very well. But if you ask for permission and use the ineffective and effective terms, it kind of goes over a little smoother and makes it easier for us to hear when we've been doing something that's not so great. So some of the key learning points about coaching, I just wrote them down. I think there are 7 of them. We've kind of gone over one of them. But your coach is not the expert. When you get on these calls, like I remember my first coaching calls, I thought I had to have every answer and to know everything, but that's not it. The coach is not the expert who gives advice. Coaching is more about the process. The power is in the process, not in the coach. And then 3, I have asking a certain kind of question is the key. Not why, but give examples. Do you remember what that was? Asking a certain kind of question is the key, not why. Give example. Do you remember what that was? That's not making sense to me right now. Anybody? No? Okay.
Asking the third question?
Well, number 3 on learning points was asking a certain kind of question is the key, not why, ... give examples.
Well, she kind of said that you don't have to know anything to coach somebody. You're kind of asking them why do you feel this way, and why do you think that, and you kind of just build off their answers. And so she said you really don't have to know anything. You're just peeling back the onion. So.
Yeah, asking a lot of questions. So
questions.
She said effective coaching is asking questions the entire conversation. And then about those the third answer is always right. So like if you ask somebody like, what do you think's holding you back, or what do you think would be a more effective way to say, or if you're asking somebody a coaching question, I wrote and they say they don't know. She said, okay, if you did know, what would you say? Yeah. Remember? And they would say, like she would say, okay, so what do you feel like is holding you back? And they're like, I don't know. And she would say, okay, well, if you did know, what would you say?
That was funny. There was one example she gave that I thought was super powerful. She said that everyone knows their own answers. They're just not aware of them. We were kind of talking about that. But she gave the example of she was talking to someone who was really stuck and she couldn't figure it out and the person couldn't figure it out. And I mean, they were kind of at this stalemate and she kept asking questions. And then she was like, okay, I'm just going to go here. She was like, what's your relationship with your parents like? She's like, oh man, I'm such a daddy's girl. You know, like we are like this. And she's like, well, what's your dad think about Plexus? And that's when it hit her that her dad was a super skeptic and was really negative and wasn't super pumped up about her business. And she realized in that moment, through her coaching and through her asking questions, that that's what was holding her back that whole time. And so from that point forward, she was able to move forward so quickly just because she was able to identify that one thing that was really holding her back. And she didn't know it. Like, she wasn't consciously aware of what was happening, but once she started peeling it back, she figured it out. So coaching can be super beneficial in that way, is that it helps you get deeper with yourself. She said number 5 was you do not need to know them to coach them. So you don't need to know everything about them. She said 6, if you fail to go within, you will go without. So going deep in the person throughout all of it is a big deal. Coaching makes the unconscious conscious, like what I talked about. And then awareness and clarity begin to happen as you're having these coachings. And then the 3 points were I will no longer give advice or my opinion. I will not say it's right or wrong, but it's effective or ineffective. We already talked about. Oh, or I guess that's it. I will not say right or wrong. I'll say ineffective or effective. And then she says, asking questions, bottom line, is the way to win. And you can really start to listen and dig to get to the main part, the main fear, usually. Did you guys have anything else?
I have something in relation to that. I've spent a lot of time trying to train my people, not by asking questions, like by telling them, they'll ask me a question, I'll tell them what they should do. But that's just what works for me. Hasn't grown my team at all. And she said, in talking with questions and coaching, she said, if you let them answer their own questions, they will take credit for their own successes. But if you give them an answer instead of letting them figure it out themselves, they'll blame you for their failure. And that's been really true with me. So just asking them questions, like we practiced question asking with someone on Saturday that we didn't know. And both of us, me and the person I was asking questions, we both answered our own questions. And we didn't even know each other. So question asking is the way to do it.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a great point. I think that's probably the difference between red and yellow also. Like reds are very process focused and just do this. This is the step that works. I know it works because I've been doing it. But like sometimes that doesn't work best for other colors to just hear the process. But you focus that way. Like I need to be better at giving you boom, 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 do it this way. But asking questions and knowing your people is the best way to go about it. Let's see. Oh, another thing.
And she did say, like when you're, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to point out, like with your team asking questions, she said, don't rush back to them with an answer. Give them time, and that'll allow them time to look it up and find the answer and empower them. Because if you're constantly giving them the answers, then you're not helping them learn and grow. So she said to give them time, and if they haven't figured it out, like in 6 hours, then make sure you're getting your daily tasks done before you're just, doing everything that your team asks, because then you'll never get your IPAs done. That was pretty good.
Asking, after you give it a few hours, ask them, hey, I just saw this, did you find the answer? Just like checking in with them instead of, just being like, okay, here's the answer. That's something I used to do too.
Or apologizing for not, I'm so sorry I didn't get back to you. Because as a yellow, we're always like, I'm so sorry, I didn't want to hurt your feelings or whatever. because you're constantly wanting to help. So don't be sorry and don't apologize.
Right.
Give them their time to find it themselves and empower them. Don't enable.
Mm-hmm.
I really love that she said that because some people still work full time, and then so it seems like I'll give you an example. I'm a nurse, a NICU nurse, and so I'm taking care of little babies, and they're really strict at my hospital about being on your phone. And so there's people who have different work hours, or they're stay-at-home moms or something, and they can, work during those hours and ask questions all day. And then when I get off work, I feel so guilty because there's tons of questions, that have been texted to me, and I'm always apologizing. I'm so sorry. I'm at work. I'll call you when I get off. I'm sorry. So I love that she said that because that takes a lot of guilt off of, not being able to immediately answer everybody's questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good. She said toward the end, she's like, how bad do you want this? Like, how bad do you want it? Like, if you knew that the only way to feed your kids was to go knock on 20 doors, you would go do that. You would go knock on those 20 doors and talk to people to feed your kids. That's like what you would do. So she said, how bad do you want it? She's like, you need to really know your why. Really get into that. And she said, are you willing to go through 30 people failing to help just one person? Is that worth it to you? And then she's like, are you happy with your activity level where you're at right now? When you're hearing crickets on the messages, someone said, what are some things you say? She's like, I'm sorry I haven't checked back with you about Plexus. I've been really busy, but I'm not going to bug you anymore. I just want you to know that I'm here for you if you ever need anything else. She said sometimes you have to get to that point with people, and usually they don't like it. Or that also gets to the checking in. Just wondering if I need to close your file or leave it open that Melanie brought up. I think that's really good too. It really shows that we're not in desperation mode. But I think that's like about all of my notes. Did you guys have anything else sort of in closing?
I wrote down one other thing that I think really might help people coach the people who are going through die-off. And she said that something you could say to team members or customers when they're having die-off, if you tell them about die-off and, things they might expect, if you say, if you knew this would be short-lived and I could coach you through it, would you be consistent and drink your water? So if you let them know that this is going to be short-lived and you will coach them and help them. I thought that was a good way to talk to people about die-off, because sometimes it's intimidating to talk to people when they don't feel good because you just don't want them to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And here's another one. And she said, if you're going to struggle for 6 weeks and you knew these issues would be gone, would you stick with it? Another way that she approached it.
Yeah.
I think that really puts it back in their boat. Like, all right, now it's your decision. I'm telling you what's going to happen. Now you decide, is this what you really want to do? Instead of it just being kind of like this passive thing and then them not ever making the decision to choose to keep doing it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, the last little tip. We're going long, aren't we? Okay, I thought that was really interesting about expanding your network and to friend request 2 of your friends a day. I mean, so she said if you just discreetly go to some of your friends' Facebook pages, go to their walls and check out some of their friends that are influencers or interesting, and stuff, and just request 2 a day. 50% chance that they're going to accept you because you have mutual friends. Mm-hmm. And that you can really expand your network. I mean, that would be 30 to 60 new contacts in a month. I mean, in 2 or 3 months, look how many more people would be seeing your posts. So I thought that was interesting too.
Oh yeah. When she was talking about expanding her network, she said they've got this new boat and they've been going out and meeting people, and she's just been like, hey, oh my gosh, just making friends with them, and she's expanding her network that way, not mentioning anything about Plexus, just getting to know them. And she's like, hey, let's hang out. Are you on Facebook? Oh my gosh, let's add each other. Just being like super fun and bubbly, and just going out and asking. And then people are adding them on Facebook, and then they're seeing what she's posting, and then they're becoming interested on their own. Again, that push-pull, you're not pushing anything on them. They'll eventually come to you. So I thought that was a good example of how to expand your network also. It was overall just so good for me. I know that a lot of you guys have had rough summers. Business has been a little bit slow for some of us. But you know what? I really think that with this motivation and reprogramming and looking at our own stuff, that we're going to be able to make fall so much better. I'm really looking forward to September. We've got a call on Wednesday night, just a prayer call. Hop on. Let's get it all off of our chest. Let's take all of it to God and let him work his magic instead of us thinking, again, I'm reprogramming my brain because I had told myself this is all me. The failure is all me. You know, like this is a basis of how hard I'm working. But really, it's not always about that. We need to take it to God and really ask him to work in our lives through our businesses. And so Wednesday night, prayer call to set our minds for September. I'm also going to be posting something about doing our affirmations this next month. That's sort of my goal, is to help you guys work on your affirmations, get them on that app that they talked about. Doing some sort of like a group where we post our affirmations in there every day so that we at least are seeing them each day, the start of our day, to kind of help us reprogram what's going on. So keep your eyes out for that. Thank you guys. If you made it all the way to the end of this call, we very much appreciate you listening in on what we learned. I think we'd all say it was incredibly beneficial to us, and we hope that it's beneficial to you too. Anything else, guys?
I think there was one more quote that I thought is good for closing. It was a John Maxwell quote that she said, and it was, the two most important days of your life, the day you were born and the day you find out why. Mm-hmm. I think just really think about that. It's a really powerful quote.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being on, and I'm going to stop the recording now. You guys have a great night.